The Argos surged past the Chowan Hawks in the home opener over the weekend. Now 2-0, the Argos look to stay unbeaten headed into conference play this week. Also on the show, learn how an Argo cross-country runner used her athletic abilities to overcome substance abuse. And we hear from Argo defensive hero Josh Marshall. This is the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network. Welcome into the Coach Shinnick Show. We've certainly got a lot of positives to talk about today, especially when you pick up a big win against Chowan. What a way to kick off the home schedule.
No, great to play in front of our home crowd. Excited to get 51 points. Obviously, that's a huge start to the home schedule here, and then really to see our guys just continue to get better. So great day for the Argos.
51-23 the final, and that one you guys seem to be in control really from the start.
Yeah, I felt like we had a lot of good things happening on the first half. We just didn't get any points out of them. And in talking to different people who watched the game, it's like, all right, at some point in time, something was going to have to give. Something was going to have to break, and everything broke our way in the second half. I think in the first half, we struggled through some things and had a little inconsistency on offense. But with that, the way the game ended, extremely proud of how our guys played and the way they executed a lot of the things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis.
You were talking about during the game, one thing that you guys weren't real happy with is I think finishing some drives. You guys were able to move the football, just weren't able to find the end zone a little bit. You still had some points on the board. You still had a halftime lead, but there were some things you wanted to see a little better in that first half. So talk about what was different from the first half to the second half.
Well, I think when you look at the first half, we weren't great on third down conversions, and part of that is we put ourselves in a little bit of a deep hole on first and second down, whether it was a run that didn't get any yardage or we didn't connect on a pass. For us, we've been pretty good in converting third downs over the course of the last season and 2 games. We got to be able to do that. That keeps our offense on the field, obviously keeps the defense off the field. Second half, we took advantage of all the opportunities, the short fields that we got, the great things we saw, out of special teams. So I was excited about what that, what that looked like in the second half.
Certainly plenty of excitement in the end offensively as we take a look at the highlights. Mike Beaudry seemed like he was a lot more comfortable and used his legs some in this game.
He did. He stepped up. He scrambled a couple times, in our first game, and then was able to really utilize that. Anthony Johnson felt like he ran the ball well. Leroy came in, really had a good change of pace for us. Burst the 32-yarder, really got us down there. And then to see Mike pull and run, this is something that we felt like he had an opportunity to do in the early in the fourth quarter. And then I'll tell you, Rodney Coates, 2 touchdown catches. That's a great ball, great catch. Karan Ashley here, you're going to see a couple different angles of this. This is unbelievable. And this one right here, if you slow-mo that on your TV, I think you'll really enjoy it because he gets his foot in, and it's fantastic.
Well, the ball itself was good, and then the catch was just incredible as well.
No doubt. Marcus Clayton here on a kickoff return. I've never seen a guy go down like the way he did. We cut it off there. Here's Antoine Griffin, just great catch. That's Mike throwing a fantastic ball after an interception. So a lot of positives, a lot of good things that we saw our guys do.
He threw the interception. A lot of guys can get down on themselves after that. He responded and really went on a roll after that, though.
No, he really did. Don't think he threw an incompletion the rest of the game and the rest of the way. So extremely impressive with, I think, 2 or 3 touchdown passes. So really happy with how Mike is responding to this role, taking the opportunity every week to learn, grow, get better, learn from his mistakes. And he's a guy that's studying film every day. He's a student of the game. Excited about what he's brought to our team.
I want to talk more about the run game because that's something after S&T you said I really want to see us have more success on the ground. A lot of that starts with the offensive line. They looked a lot better, opened up some big holes in that game.
Yeah, we were very pleased with what we were able to do running the ball in the second half. And, the first half, I think we just had to go through some growing pains. We had to go through some things. We weren't staying on blocks as well. And then the second half, you saw Schwartz hit a big one, Anthony hit one, then obviously Leroy's long run that we saw, and just started churning out some yards. That was fun to see.
Defensively, Some excitement there as well, and it started with a pick six.
Yeah, no, great play by Josh. I mean, read it well. I mean, he saw it, did a fantastic job. He's got, one in each game. We're going to try to get that every week. That would be fantastic. Just great pursuit to the ball right here. I mean, Jalen Spencer and Dre getting in on the tackle. Reggie Barnes played a great game right there. Jalen Spencer again taking a great angle on a 3rd and 5 play. Reggie Barnes again getting pressure on the quarterback. Really, really good stuff to see. We block a punt, really weren't trying to block a punt. The guy just held it forever. And, if you're going to stand back there, we're going to keep coming at you. But really a lot of, I think you're starting to see the potential of this defense. Darian and Alex and Kyle, our defensive coaches, doing a great job putting our guys in a fantastic position to just make plays.
And you guys were in Witt's face all night long. 3 sacks in that game as well. Only allowed 77 rush yards, so not just good pass defense in that game, but also run defense as well. So a lot of positive steps, which is what you wanted to see after week 1. Now Valdosta State comes calling, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Plus, we've got a Special Teams Player of the Week award to talk about as well. So much more to get to. Next, we've got an inspirational story from the cross-country course. Plus, we hear from Troy transfer Josh Marshall when the Coach Shinnick Show continues next on the UWF Sports Network.
We are not here to drift. We were born to move, to change, to jump in, dive deep, make waves, break through. We were born to splash. The University of West Florida is America's best university for making a splash. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash? We will never settle for the kiddie pool. We are destined for the vast ocean of opportunities that await us. We were born to make a splash. At the University of West Florida, you can make a discovery, make a difference, make a splash. So take a deep breath and dive in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show. Alcohol abuse affects more than 15 million people in America. The solution to find freedom from this deadly disease isn't found in a pill. It varies from person to person. For cross-country runner Renee Cox, running has been the therapy to escape a life once held in the clutches of addiction. It was a lifestyle fueled by her time tending bar after dropping out of her initial try at college.
I, sleep till 4, bartend all night, drink while you're working. Stay whenever you close, you keep drinking until 10 a.m., sleep till 4, do it all again. So I was surrounded by people who did that. That was the social norm, and it was a very dark time in my life. It got to the point where I was drinking every day, and before I went to work, I had to drink, otherwise I would start having withdrawals. And that was really scary for me. I even checked myself into detox when I was 21, and then I tried to quit, started going to AA. I just couldn't. It had such a power over me. When I was about 23, I started running, and I would just run not that far. I started at the FSU track. It'd be late at night, sometimes even when I got off work. I was still drinking at that time, but the nights that I would choose going to run over going to the bar, I felt like a totally different person. The turning point for me really was I ended up getting pregnant with the guy I was dating, and we hadn't been dating very long, and that was just I had a decision to make. I met with an adoption counselor, and she showed me something about adoption I never knew existed. You hear about adoption, you think, oh, you gave your kid away to a stranger and never see him again. Well, this was open adoption. You get to pick out the family. There are families that are waiting. There's pictures, and I just realized this could actually be a blessing. My son Michael was born, and I was still sober. I even thought after I had the baby, it's I'm going to go back to drinking, but something just changed in me then. I felt so much better without it. I signed up for the Springtime Tallahassee, which is a really popular race in Tallahassee, and I had ran one race before that a couple of years I had trained for. It was a half marathon, and I did pretty well in it, and I thought it was a fluke, and I was scared to run again. But so I ran in this race with no experience or anything, and I ended up getting second in my age group and 9th overall. It was such a hard time in my life, And after that, I was like, I don't want to go back to drinking. Like, this is great.
A friend urged her to run a 5K in Tallahassee. There she met Argo cross-country coach Caleb Carmichael, a chance meeting that would change her life.
I think the first time I met him was I asked him a question about shoes when I was at a race. I didn't even know who he was really.
She knew I coached in college, and we mentioned that, hey, maybe we've got eligibility, just joking. And she ended up having some eligibility left, and then it was like, okay, now I'm full-fledged recruiting her.
I remember watching this video the day I found out I was eligible of the girls running on the beach, and I cried so hard, because it was like my dream was finally coming true.
She went from a road runner to our number one runner, and obviously number one's a pretty important part of your team. Obviously you build around that.
Stopping the track team after 2 weeks, it had been one of my biggest regrets until I got this opportunity, and that's what made it so much more amazing.
It's amazing to see all the things that have happened to her, where she is now. I was in her graduation, where she's in now. It's amazing.
I saw that everything I had been through, that it was worth it. And every night that I decided not to drink, and I would see everybody at my bar I was working at, I was the only one that was leaving sober. And it was all those nights I had done that, all those mornings I had decided I'm going to run this race. All the times that I had just chosen to say no and to run instead, it was all that. It was my dream was coming true, and I still can't believe it.
Renee has been sober since September 3rd, 2011. She's already finished her undergrad with a degree in nursing, and she's working towards her master's to be a family nurse practitioner where she can help people dealing with many of the same struggles she's endured. Renee and the cross-country team is back on the course this weekend in Nashville. Switching gears back to the gridiron, Troy transfer Josh Marshall is second on the team with 13 tackles. He also has an interception in each of the first 2 games with a pick 6 on Saturday. He joins us now. Josh, take us through that pick 6. That had to be a lot of fun for you guys. Kind of got everything going in that game.
Sir, Chowan likes the quick game, and the quick game involves pre-snap reads, and I just took advantage of him staring down his receiver.
I was going to say, it looked like you kind of saw that route and saw the whole play opening up. So did you get a pretty good idea where that was going?
Yes, sir, I did.
Now, you told me before you tried to bait him into throwing that way. How do you do that?
You just play off. I guess make it seem like you're not covering the guy, and as his arm goes up, you just break on the route.
What brought you to the University of West Florida? You were at Troy, you had success there, and then now here you are for your senior season, wrapping things up with the Argos. What brought you here?
I pretty much ran out of Division I time at Troy University, and West Florida was, I guess, I was fortunate enough for West Florida to do some of the things that they did to get me here. So
it's a pretty fun defense, I feel like, to be a part of.
It is.
Talk about what makes that exciting for you guys.
Coach Doolin, he's a loving coach. He's genuine. He encourages us to, I guess, play at our best and just have fun while we're doing it.
You went to Iowa Central Community College before you transferred to Troy. Mm-hmm. What sent you to Iowa from Georgia? And then your brother does the same thing, following in your footsteps. So what's the appeal to Iowa for you guys?
Well, we pretty much went out there together. We had a friend who lived 2 houses down. He had went out there before us to the same school, and he came home for a semester, and we played a pickup game of football. He's like, man, we need you guys. So we followed him.
You had interest in possibly getting drafted last year. You had declared for the draft and then decided, nah, that's probably best if I stay playing football. What went through that decision? Because that's a big decision to make. So take us through that.
Where I was ranked at before the draft took place, I pretty much didn't have anyone talking for me. So the rankings that came out, as the draft was ending, pretty much my ranking dropped. So I decided not to go through with it.
Is that still an area, the NFL, is that still kind of where you see things going from here?
I hope so.
Yeah. So how do you make the most of your senior year now?
I just go out and make the plays that I'm making.
It's certainly worked out for you so far. You guys have Valdosta State this weekend.
Yes, sir.
That's kind of a pretty balanced offense. Their quarterback looks like he likes to run a little bit. He's had some success throwing. So as you kind of size up Valdosta, what do you look at out of those guys this week?
For me, I just look at the receivers, who's great route runners, who's going to be coming out to block me, their blocking schemes, things like that.
Do you have some guys over there that you think could give you guys some trouble this week?
They got a pretty good running back. I know their quarterback can use his legs. Any quarterback that can do that is pretty much hard to game plan on. So
Well, it should be a fun one. I'm sure that Chowan win felt great. That game got a little, kind of started to get a little ugly there at the end, but you guys kept your cool. I'm sure it felt good to get a win in front of the home crowd.
It did.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Josh Marshall joining us today on the Coach Shinnick Show. Still plenty to get to. The Argos had a player recognized recently with a weekly GSC award after the big game on Saturday. Find out who it was next on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
Get in the way and disrupt the situation.
Notify an authority.
Or walk them home safely.
We can change the language around rape.
We can make campuses safer for our teammates, our friends, and our classmates.
We cannot be bystanders.
Taking action isn't always easy, but it's on us
to intervene.
Because we can. Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create, and the question isn't, can you do it? It's will you?
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show. Argos sophomore Marcus Clayton had a big game on Special Forces this week. He had a pair of kick returns totaling 87 yards on Saturday, including his first, which went for 65 yards. Both returns led to scores and to him earning GSC Special Teams Player of the Week. Congrats to Marcus. And now we welcome back head coach Pete Shinnick. Exciting to see Marcus Clayton with the big game. He really played well.
No, he did, and he's been fantastic since we put him back there as a returner, and that started I think game 3 or 4 last year. The other thing he did extremely well is he goes in to block punts. And really probably should have had 3 holding calls against him because he was very close getting a punt blocked. And then he set up Antoine Griffin's big return. It was his block that really freed him for the last 20 yards of that run. So I know he got the award for the conference because of the returns, but we actually gave him the internal award for all his blocking and his effort on everything. So
I thought their first punt was partially blocked, actually.
Could have been, but it might have been just his kick.
Well, okay, fair enough. Well, Valdosta State this weekend. We talked last week about how sometimes you can tell where you're at when you play somebody that somebody else in your conference has already played. Delta State really didn't have the success that you guys had against Chowan. Played them a little better. But now you've got Valdosta State. Nothing really to compare Valdosta State to yet. So what's your assessment of these guys at this point of the season after 2 very difficult losses?
Well, yeah. First off, I mean, their record doesn't do them justice. They're a very good football team, and if they could very easily be 2-0 against 2 highly ranked opponents. Albany was ranked, and North Al's top 10 team in the country right now. Tremendous amount of respect for them. They are one of the bigger, more athletic teams in our conference. It'll be, again, as we say, it'll be a great test for us to just get an idea as to where we are. Felt like Chowan, the score that we had last week was, kind of as coaches, we felt like year 1, if we would have played a great game, might have had a similar outcome. So good to get that under our belt. Have our guys experience that, play great on special forces, play great on defense, and we do that against Valdosta. I like our chances.
Valdosta State had they threw a pick 6 late in that game, which allowed North Al to win that. So that's a tough situation. They've got some weapons offensively. Their quarterback's just a freshman, but they use 2 quarterbacks. Their primary quarterback's just a freshman. When you look at that, even though he's kind of a dual threat guy, he's still a freshman. Do you play him differently? I mean, how does all that play out?
Yeah, I think you look at his ability, and I'm pretty sure the starter for Alabama was a freshman last year. I don't know that anybody played him different. You kind of look at his talent level and see where he's at. Some guys go in a little wide-eyed, and other guys just go in, and it's another game to him. He looks extremely comfortable back there. I mean, if you were to watch clips of him and just say, hey, freshman, sophomore, what would you think? You wouldn't say, oh, yeah, that guy's a freshman. So he's playing comfortably. We just got to respect, his legs and his arm because he uses them both well.
And that makes him a little more difficult to get uncomfortable if he's already back there, not playing like a freshman. How about receiving wise? It seems like they've got some weapons.
They do, and I mean they've always had big fresh targets that they roll guys in, they play a handful of guys. They've got some playmakers. I think it's probably the best skill set that we've seen. Missouri S&T had some speed and little shifty guys. Valdosta's got a little more size, but they've got the speed that I think will test our secondary.
They created problems last year with the offense because of what they were able to do defensively. They forced a lot of turnovers. Do you still see kind of a similar defense this year out of them?
Most definitely, and probably one of the bigger defenses that we will see. And again, probably one of the more athletic. They're just long. They move well in space. North Al, I think, had 5 turnovers in the game. So we're going to have to do a great job holding on to the ball, being smart with it. And, every decision that our quarterback makes has got to be a wise one.
Well, that's something that this team this year has done a great job of through 2 games. We'll talk more about that. Plus, we'll get to take your questions when we come back. This is the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.
Being a champion takes more than talent, more than the perfect pass, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the spirit to always push harder, the ability to overcome any hurdle, and the fire to be the best. Welcome to Division II, where the pursuit is yours to create. And the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
The world is our ocean, and we're here to make a splash. To dive deep, to create, to develop, to break through. At the University of West Florida, there's no limit to how you can make a splash. Don't just sit on shore, jump in. The University of West Florida. How will you make a splash?
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
Get in the way and disrupt the situation.
Notify an authority.
Or walk them home safely.
We can change the language around rape.
We can make campuses safer for our teammates, our friends, and our classmates.
We cannot be bystanders.
Taking action isn't always easy, but it's on us
to intervene.
Because we can. Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to the Coach Shinnick Show. Now is the chance where you get to ask the questions. But before we get to that, I do want to talk a little bit more about the turnovers, because that's really been a key for this team so far, is taking care of the football. Already +3 through 2 games.
Yeah, huge factor for us, and I think that's the reason really we won the first game, was because we didn't have any and they had costly ones. And then last week, obviously the pick 6 put us right where we needed to be, and we were able to overcome Mike's turnover. So pleased with how our guys are taking care of the ball. We've run the ball a lot in the first 2 games, and really have only had the ball on the ground 1 time with one of our running backs. But you've seen the wide receivers take care of the ball. You've seen the quarterback take care of it. Really pleased with the work that our coaches have put in to get that accomplished.
We've got some questions now from some of our viewers. And Guy in Milton wants to know, last year we didn't really see the tight ends involved much in the offense. This year it's kind of been a different story. What does that do for the offense?
Well, it really occupies the middle, and it gives your wide receivers more of an opportunity to roam around. And I think, Austin Blake Smith has come in and really given us a nice presence there, catching the ball. Probably could have had a couple more catches, on Saturday that were some close ones. But it does free up the rest of our wide receivers, because now if you're worried about throwing to that guy, the linebackers have to stay in the box a little more. They can't fly out of there because, you're not going to throw to the guy. So we're excited about his addition and what he's brought to the team.
Ricky in Homestead, Florida wants to know about Valdosta. Just how good do you think this team is? Are they kind of on the same level that they were last year, or do you think they're a little bit better, maybe a little down?
No, last year they were a playoff team. I'd say they're on the same level this year. I think they've played 2 hot opponents, to start the season. Albany came out of the gates, probably one of the best teams in the country. I think they had a couple injuries and lost this last weekend. And North Alabama, we know how good they are. So I think this team is a playoff team. It has that potential. And we gave them a run last year, and we want to be in the game this year. Give ourselves an opportunity to come out with a victory.
You're talking about a playoff team. It seems like a winnable football game. I'm sure you guys certainly feel that it is. So I guess the natural follow-up is it too early to start thinking about the playoffs with this team, or is that up to the fans and us to do that? And you guys?
I think it's a great discussion for everybody, but again, we got a long way to go, and happy to be 2-0. And the only thing I'd say to that is last year we were 2-0 after the first 2 games. And so if our team continues to progress and get better, each week, our schedule is extremely challenging. We've got ranked opponents coming up. We've got really good opponents coming up. Again, Valdosta would be ranked if they didn't slip up in one of these games and really played a couple of close games. So, I think for us, it's always going to be that conversation is going to take place. Where are we week 7? Mm-hmm. What does our team look like at that point in time?
This 2-0 does feel a little different, though, doesn't it?
Most definitely. Obviously, we talked about turnovers. I think from a special team standpoint, we're much better than we were a year ago. We're kicking the ball better. We're punting the ball better. We're returning the ball better, covering it. So there's a lot of pluses that are working in our direction right now.
I'm looking into the future, perhaps. The playoffs manual in North Carolina is looking ahead way down the line, perhaps, to future teams. He wants to know if there's any freshmen on this squad to kind of keep an eye on in the future, maybe that aren't playing right now, perhaps redshirting, and who do you kind of like on this squad right now that might be playing?
Well, for our freshmen that we redshirted, we think we're redshirting a really good class. We're playing 2 freshmen right now in Mike Dilla and Anthony Johnson. Both those guys are the 2 true freshmen that are playing. But we've redshirted a lot of really good players just because we had good depth at their position. And, we'll see how they play out. They're doing a great job for us on, our scout team right now. So I'm excited about the future of our program based on, the last couple of recruiting classes that we've gotten.
And, of course, that's where that depth starts to build as well, because you've still got a lot of guys that are going to be back from this team that are getting experience this year.
Well, I'd say probably 80% of our team right now is still sophomores or juniors. If not, it's got to be somewhere close to that. We do have a lot coming back, and we're looking to continue to get better. And, again, we're taking this thing, the old coaching cliche, but it's so true. You just take it one week at a time, and let's get as far down the road as we can and see what happens.
Hey, still a long way to go in this season. We're only 2 weeks in, so let's enjoy the rest of it. And we've got a fun season certainly still ahead of us, and a big one coming up this weekend against Valdosta State. Mm-hmm. Good luck in that one. Always a pleasure, Coach.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's it for head coach Pete Shinnick this week on the Coach Shinnick Show. We've got football back at home again this weekend, taking on Valdosta. Kickoff is set for 6 o'clock. Pre-game is 5:30 on Choice 106.9 FM, WRNE 980 AM. Of course, you can watch the game beginning at 6 on Blab TV as well. Soccer also home this weekend, taking on Delta State and Mississippi College with a pair of doubleheaders. You can get the full schedule at goargos.com. For head coach Pete Shinnick and our entire crew, I'm Tommy Thrall. Thanks for watching this week on the Coach Shinnick Show on the UWF Sports Network.